Hi, a package arrived. Pass the parcel. Let's see what's in the package. Well, I know what's in the package, but let's open it regardless. Bubble wrapped inside. Now, I bought off this guy before, this seller. He's a member of one of the Facebook secondhand CD pages, New Zealand pages that I'm on, and we all buy and sell amongst each other. And this guy I bought off a couple of times, I think. He's wrapped it up pretty well. We'll whip through it, I think. Can you see who's that guy? And that guy. And that guy. And of course, God damn it, that guy. The Beatles, Let It Be. Released in 1970. As for the CD, I think this is from the, 87. I was about to say from the the CD releases, but in the 80s, you can usually tell by the booklet and the way the CD's printed. There's kind of very basic 80s style. Single leaf with the track listing. And the pictures. So Let It Be. I am slowly trying to accumulate all the Beatles albums I can on CD. I currently have Sgt. Pepper's Magical Mystery Tour, the Blue Greatest Hits double album, one or two others anyway. So I got Let It Be, Revolver, released in 1966. And I guess this would have been released in the 80s at the same time as this, 87 maybe? Let's see. Doesn't say. Doesn't say. That's weird how they do that, eh? Like it says the date on this one, but on this one it doesn't say the date of the CD release. See, there's a little bit of kind of staining there. Very iconic front. I guess all their album covers are pretty iconic, aren't they? But an amazing album. I don't really need to give my opinion about the Beatles. Is there any band that had more opinions said and written about them than the Beatles? But if I were to pick my favorite 3 songs on this, Eleanor Rigby, Good Day Sunshine, maybe Tomorrow Never Knows. I don't know, they're all classics, aren't they? As to why this kind of staining happens, I'm not exactly sure. It's usually obviously the sign of an older CD. It's throughout here. But it doesn't really bother me. So these were, how much did I buy them for? $6 each, the Beatles ones. But there's more. And here, the bubble wrap. Abbey Road. This one appears newer from that kind of color. Let's see if I can tell from the inside. Yes, this does. Okay, 87, same as the Let It Be release. another, again, don't give my opinion. Would you say this is their most iconic album cover? Or was Sgt. Pepper's more iconic? They're all, like I said, it's hard to kind of pick one, but I'd say that would be up there. Top 3. Walking across the crossing at Abbey Road. Favorite 3 songs on this one? Here Comes the Sun. Maybe Golden Slumbers. And Something. George Harrison heavy. And the last one, is the last one going to be another Beatles one? No, it's not. It is a Best of Steely Dan. Now, I didn't actually ask the guy what the track listing, I didn't search the track listing, so it'd be interesting to see what they put on a Best of Steely Dan album. What year did this come out? Before I look at the track listing, what year did it come out? 93, okay. So we got Reeling in the Years, of course, Ricky Don't Use That Number. And I guess we're going to have Do It Again somewhere. Yeah, there we go, Do It Again. So those are the 3 that they play on the radio here. As in, they're kind of the radio friendly type things. We got Peg, FM, Hey 19, Deacon Blues, Black Friday, Bodhisattva, Haitian Divorce, My Old School, Midnight Cruiser, Babylon Sisters, Kid Charlemagne, Dirty Workin' Josie. Steely Dan are a band that got to be in the mood for, personally. Sometimes I'll put on Steely Dan, or I'll listen to Steely Dan, I think. I can't be bothered with this at the moment. This is too what? I don't know. It's hard to describe. Too floaty. And sometimes you get, in the mood for floaty. And I wouldn't say I'm the hugest Steely Dan fan, but they've certainly got some amazing songs, and the musicianship is always top class, and they have a good sound, if you know what I mean. A recognizable sound. Anyway, I'd actually bought one more. Rubber Soul was part of these Beatle albums. But the guy contacted me and said, sorry, I've been getting these ready, packing them up, and I just realized I can't find the disc for Rubber Soul. He had the case, he had advertised and taken a photo of it, but the disc wasn't around. So he said, do you want me to refund you? I said, oh, no, just keep the money and then use it as a credit when I buy something off you, as I'm sure I will in the future. So yeah, pretty good to knock out 3 albums that I'm after for a relatively cheap price. So like I said, $6 each. Now the Beatles are a strange one because you don't come across them all that often in the secondhand used shops. They're one of those bands. The Beatles are the Beatles, and everyone loves the Beatles, and therefore you don't come across people getting rid of their Beatles albums as much. I have found some, and the one that you do see around a lot is the One compilation that was released in 2001, 2002, I can't remember, 2001. 2000, it was released 2000. Because that's relatively modern, and that's kind of the thing that people who just wanted to have some Beatles song. But if you're actually buying Beatles albums, I'd assume you're a Beatles fan. And so therefore you're not kind of getting rid of the albums. And it's just, for a band that's, one of the most popular, biggest, most well-known bands of modern history, you do find remarkably few of their albums in secondhand shops. So therefore, it's not the kind, because I want to get all the Beatles albums, I'm willing to pay a little bit more. $6 each. That's still, I think, relatively bargain price. And this was $4. And I kind of just got this because I wanted to kind of, if this was just by itself, I wouldn't have got it. This is the kind of thing I could have found in a secondhand shop eventually for $1. But, if I'm buying one thing, sometimes I'll just throw things in there that I wouldn't necessarily have bought otherwise, if you know what I mean. So yeah, not bad, eh? Well, in my opinion. So as I always say that of recent times, I have much better, not better, it's easier to find things that you want on the Facebook trading pages, in my opinion. Because the secondhand shops are so thoroughly picked over nowadays, and that you really have a very low hit rate. Well, I do. You can go around 10, 15 shops and not find a single decent thing. And this is something echoed by other collectors that I know. We don't know them personally, but as in we're on the same discussion pages. And people say nowadays that how you find in the secondhand shops are much harder to find, and everyone agrees. And it's something that I found in the last 2 years. It's just people know what to look for, and there's those professional buyers and sellers who just go through those shops on a weekly basis and just skim and take everything that they think they can get a little bit of profit on, and so therefore you're left with just hundreds of crap CDs. And so it's a bit disheartening going around the shops and you just find nothing. Whereas when you look on the Facebook pages, it's a lot easier to look, and the stuff tends to be at a little bit higher quality. There are still some people who have no idea, and they've obviously just been to an op shop and has picked up 10 random CDs, and then they try and sell them for like $5 each on the Facebook page. And you think, well, who the hell wants a copy of Mariah Carey's Greatest Hits? You could find this anywhere for 50 cents. Or, now that's what I call Music 33 or something like that. So yeah, that's where I tend to do most of my purchasing nowadays. But I still pop into secondhand shops from time to time. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching.